going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and this is my step-by-step walkthrough of the Citadelle Day More main Easter egg. Definitely stay tuned. But as new quests do get discovered, expect plenty of coverage here on the channel, and of course, over on Detonated. But the first step is going to require players to upgrade all 4 of the base swords to each of the elements. My guide on upgrading all the swords is going to be linked down below. Be sure to check that out, then come right back to this video. But once you have each of the upgraded swords, you want to go ahead and also obtain each of the incantations, which go along with each of the upgraded swords. Let's start off with the fire incantation. So once you have the fire sword in hand, your goal is going to be to light up 3 different stacks of wood right on top of the castle. Now the funny thing is, you could use the charge attack that this sword comes with to light up those bonfires, or you can actually just use Molotovs or an explosive that could be efficient. So as you can see, Sniper has a Molotov. He's going to throw one right here just above Elemental Pop to go ahead and set that stack of wood on fire. The next one's going to be located right above the castle entrance, as you can see, not that far away from the first one. And lastly, there's one just on a hill above the Speed Cola perk machine. Once you've thrown that third Molotov to set that stack of wood on fire, a Doppelgas is going to spawn, and once you kill him, he's going to drop an Ankh. And hey, it belongs to Ra, which is crazy. But what you want to do is take this item to this specific yellow ritual circle located right here in the courtyard. Once you place it, you just have to get a bunch of kills around this ritual circle until it will create a golden chest. You now have to use your upgraded fire sword to open that chest, and inside will be an incantation. You'll then begin to see these incantations spawn all around the map that you can use for free at any time, and it just replaces your tactical and lets you do this Thunder Fist like ability that matches the element of the sword you were using. But next up, we have the sun or light incantation. So over in the main room where Vulture 8 is, what you want to do is take a look at this glowing crystal there right near the top of the room, and you want to shoot it as it creates a beam. Now you can then direct the beam based on where you're standing, and just by shooting it with a bullet weapon, by the way, and you're going to direct the beam to another crystal in this room, and every time you shoot that crystal, especially in the right direction, the beam is going to move closer into the right direction where you're supposed to aim it, and it's going to keep creating a link amongst each of these crystals, which is pretty simple. And what you want to do is direct it into that room where the alchemy is, and as you keep shooting these crystals, eventually it'll connect all these beams of light onto a table where an amulet is located, and what you want to do is then pick up that amulet. You now want to place this amulet right in front of the lion drawing here inside of the sword room, and all you have to do again is just get a bunch of zombie kills right around this rune site until it gives you a golden crate. You can then use your sun or light sword on this crate to open it up, and inside will be the light incantation. Now moving on to the lightning or storm incantation, you want to head over to these stables by the Deadshot Daiquiri perk, and there's going to be a horseshoe above one of the entrances, as you will see. You want to shoot that as many times as you need until the horseshoe drops to the ground, pick it up, and you now want to go to the cannon and shoot yourself straight to spawn. Once you do that, you should see a storm cloud somewhere in the air nearby, kind of going back in that direction where the stable is, and just by that storm cloud, you're going to see an item that actually belongs to Pegasus, which is also another reference to the Chaos story we saw in BO4. You then want to go to the spawn area where you can place this item right here on this yellow ritual circle again, and once you've done that, you have to go ahead and get zombie kills around the ritual as we did the first 2 times, and once you've killed enough zombies, a golden chest will spawn. You can open it with your upgraded lightning sword, and inside will be the lightning incantation. But lastly, we have the void or dark swords incantation. So what you want to do is actually head straight through the sewer slide, and as you're getting to the very bottom of the slide, you want to shoot the crow that's chilling on a rock, as you will see right here. If for some reason you can't see the crow, just make sure you interact with Dr. Kraft before doing this step. Better be safe than sorry. Once you shoot that crow, you're actually going to be able to track exactly where that crow is going, as we'll start flying into the air, kind of around where Deadshot is near the stables, and you want to shoot that crow again so that it drops a claw item. You want to pick up that claw and then go down to the Undercroft where you'll see a yellow ritual circle. You want to place it down, and it's another soul box again. Go ahead and get a bunch of kills right around this circle until boom, the golden chest will spawn, allowing you to break it open with your void sword, and inside will be the dark incantation. But next up, you want to go ahead and purchase Melee Macchiato, and you want to destroy a very specific wall in this Undercroft room that has some runes behind it. It's pretty obviously an Easter egg related wall, as you can see. It's glowing blue. Once you break that, you're going to see a bunch of symbols on the wall, which remind all of us of a certain symbol step we saw back in Ancient Evil. If you head back over into the tavern, there's going to be 6 vases located around this room with Roman numerals on them. Interacting with these vases will reveal a symbol on them, and what do you know, they're ordered from numbers 1 to 6, which we actually need to correctly input back down in the Undercroft. So I'd recommend writing down what symbols you see by each Roman numeral, take a picture with your phone, or maybe you have the best memory ever, you don't have to even take note of all of these, but once you've taken note of all 6 of the symbols in the tavern, you want to go back down to the Undercroft and input them in the order you saw back in the tavern. Now notice how as you're inputting these symbols, the actual time you get to input the next symbol gets shorter and shorter, so it becomes a bit of a challenge. But if you enter the incorrect symbol, don't worry, just make sure that you finish that sequence of 6, and then you can start fresh and go back to symbol number 1 again. Now once that's done, a book is going to be accessible to you, and you'll notice that it's missing some pages. Luckily, all the pages are actually located in the same room, and it's going to be located right near the stamina perk machine, or the alchemy area that we've gone to a couple of times now. There's 4 pages total that you have to find, and they should be in the same locations as you're seeing in my game right here. Now only 1 page will spawn in at a time, and it'll always spawn these pages in the order that you need them, but once you've picked all of them up, you want to return these pages to the book back down in the Undercroft, and from the order of top left to bottom left, then top right to bottom right, you have to activate the corresponding red magic trap icons that do look exactly like the symbols you see on these pages. So around the map, you'll see 4 red traps on the ground that you can activate, and it kind of acts as Ring of Fire. It'll give you magic bullets, helps you save some ammo. It's a pretty cool system that actually is important for this step, but as you can see in my game, on my left page, the top symbol is just an eyeball, keep note of that. The symbol below it is also kind of an eye, but it's much more circular. Then going over to the right page, symbol number 3 at the very top looks a lot like the sun. Then the symbol right below it, I guess you can just call it the cross, and essentially what you're looking for is the traps on the ground that match those symbols. You essentially have to activate each of the traps in the order you see from the pages, and once you activate each trap for about 1600 points, you want to go ahead and get some kills while standing in that trap. And once you do that, if you actually head back down to the Undercroft, if you've done this step correctly, the symbol will have disappeared from the page. Now you can't just activate the trap and stand still. You also can't do these in a random order, or else the symbols won't disappear from the pages down below in the Undercroft. You have to do it in the correct order, so top to bottom on the left page, then top to bottom on the right page as far as what your symbols are. But yes, another teammate can also help you out and spend their points to actually buy these individual ritual traps. But once you've made all 4 symbols go away from that book, your next goal is to go ahead and use the incantations that you acquired earlier on their respective knight statues over in the sword room, which is where Vulture 8 is located. But there's a bit of a twist to this, which I think ended up getting leaked earlier by accident. Essentially what you have to do here is take a look at this specific wall in the sitting room passage, and it'll actually show you what order you have to interact with your statues in. So in my game, as you can see, there's Roman numerals next to each of the elements. It's telling me that I have to interact with the storm or lightning statue, then the light statue, followed by the void or dark statue, and lastly, the fire statue. So once you head back into this sword room, there'll be an incantation of each element, and only one person has to do this. What you want to do is grab the matching incantation, hit the corresponding statue, then inspect the matching elemental sword in front of the statue, which will complete that part of the step. Repeat this process for each of the statues in the order that that wall tells you from the sitting passage room. Now, once you've inspected each of the corresponding swords in front of all the statues, a mystic orb will spawn in. Now, this mystic orb can be taken to 4 different trial locations around the map. The first one is located by an arsenal machine just right here, as you can see, in front of the castle. So you can just insert the orb into that slot, and once you do that, it'll turn a specific color, which indicates that you have to use a very specific elemental sword to go ahead and get kills. So in my game here, it required Sniper to use his elemental fire sword to go ahead and get kills. As he stood here on the trap, it allowed him to just keep getting souls. So the next trial is located in the statue room where the swords are, just across across from Vulturade, you'll see another slot where you can input the orb. So what it wants you to do is stand in those green orbs around the room until they disappear, and you can use your light sword, which is pretty powerful, to fend off against the zombies while you're doing so, and eventually this should complete the challenge. After you've completed this trial, there's a third slot you can enter an orb in the Undercraft. So the orb again should turn a specific color, indicating what sword you have to use. In my game, it was the Dark or Void sword, as you can see. So once I went ahead and started the challenge, I had to go ahead and actually use the special attack ability while using my sword. Regular kills just weren't doing it or progressing the challenge for whatever reason. I couldn't see souls collecting into the Mystic Orb for some reason, but obviously there's an incantation you can also use. For some reason that really did help me progress through this step and collect as many zombie souls as possible. But last and certainly not least, over in the spawn area, there is a fourth slot to go ahead and activate the final Mystic Orb Trial. So in this case, it was requiring the use of the Lightning or Storm Sword, the color blue. It also helped a lot to use the incantation that belongs to lightning, which also spawns right near the Mystic Orb challenge. But once enough kills have been acquired with the Storm Sword, you can head back to the Sitting Room passage where a secret room is now going to open. Inside, you can play the recording that appears, and then a key will be given to you. You can listen to the audio, and now you want to make sure you set up as best as you can with at least one bullet-based weapon. And if you want your secondary to be the Pack-a-Punch pistols, because hey, Mustang and Sally is always clutch, feel free to keep those, but also have a bullet weapon or just a hell of a lot of points to make sure you can buy ammo while in the boss fight. Highly recommend having legendary rarity, PAP tier 3. Don't really need a wonder weapon, but of course bring in a sword of your choosing. Also make sure you have your perks, buy a self revive, and once you are prepared to go into the boss fight, you want to use the key at the spawn area to actually activate this giant statue. Yes, he is the boss that we're going to be facing. It's an incredibly well designed boss. Bravo to Treyarch for really knocking it out of the park again here with DLC 1. This honestly feels like a launch map. I'm really happy with this. But once you're in the boss fight, you want to make sure that you're being as tight and coordinated as possible, because the arena that you're fighting in will get smaller and smaller as the boss fight progresses. So you can use incantations against the boss if you want to jump up to him and hit him. I think it's actually best to use those against the hordes of zombies. You can use your sword, use your attacks, but most importantly, look for weak spots on this boss as they do appear bright red. Shooting those Mustang and Sallys or a good bullet weapon like an LMG or something that you prefer, that will definitely do a decent amount of damage to him, but take your time, because obviously if you have a Sigma, you could probably do a lot of good damage with that launcher, but practice takes perfect, right? We're going to end up finding the best weapons that could actually defeat this boss. Unfortunately, like I said, my game just kept crashing today. Not sure what's going on. I'm still getting to the bottom of it. So when the boss had about 25% health left, my game ended up crashing out. So shout out to Perka for the last couple of seconds of gameplay of defeating this boss. We'll talk more about the story implications of this ending in a future video. But for completing this Easter egg, you're going to be unlocking the Jackknife operator skin for Weaver, 5,000 XP, and an exclusive calling card, which can only be earned before the release of directed mode for this map, which is going to be coming out in 2025. But fans will also get their hands on a Doppelgast weapon charm as well. With that being said, sincerely appreciate all your support and stay tuned for additional coverage on DLC 1 tomorrow.